Good afternoon, and thank you everyone for attending, and thank you everybody who's online. I'm really happy to be here. My name is Clyde Hutchison. I am the Senior Technology Specialist at the Korean ADB Korea Climate Technology Hub. I have, as I keep saying to everyone, one of the most easiest jobs in ADB, where my role is to matchmake technology with the various needs of our development member countries throughout ADB, really looking at climate resilience technology, but also making sure that we have implementable technology to solve the challenges which lay ahead. So I'm very, very happy to be moderating three really amazing companies and projects, of three of them which I'm huge fans of, and I'm really delighted to be the moderator. This is track 2, which is the digitization and innovation track, which is really looking at breakthroughs in practice. This session will showcase successes and challenges on ongoing local case studies, both at a city, municipality, or a province level, that use digitization and innovation to promote circular economy. So I would recommend everybody who's on the session or even online to please use this QR code, which is AHA Slides. And this link will be used for the Q&A. So we're going to do a quick tester for this, and let's see if the next slide will work. Ah, no. And you should get a question there. Is the question up and running? I'm looking at Mo. Oh, no. Has everybody seen the question? There should be 2 questions on it. Is how was your lunch? There we go. Well, are you still hungry? Are you so full? Ah, so full. Everybody's so full. So everybody's enjoying the papaya salad, rice, fish. Nobody's still hungry. That's always good. And then we're going to move on to the second question. Oh, people are still so full. So that's good, we know that's checking. And if we move on to the second question, let's see. I don't know if I have to move it on. Oh yeah. And the second question is, what's your dream innovation in circular economy? So what would you like to see in terms of technologies? What would you like to see in terms of innovation? Innovation could be a policy. What do you think, if you had a magic Harry Potter wand, you would like to see happen within circular economy? So institutionalized, sustainable cities. Also, you can upvote these. We're just using this to test. All waste becomes resource. Well, that's the premise of circular economy. Segregated waste, waste aggregation, waste to energy, textile waste management and MRF that works, sustainable fashion, another textile one, zero waste, recycling machines, zero waste, again, zero plastics, oof, wow, someone's wrote a mini essay here in inclusive innovation that someone can reach the most impacted by our changing societies, nothing wasted, full implementation of EPR with incentives and penalties, nothing wasted, everything reused. I think we're coming to an end. Oh. Okay, so we've all got used to using AHA Slides, so please keep that app open so that we can use that for Q&A once our 3 speakers have a chance to speak. So, here are our rules of engagement. We encourage everyone to be present. Keep your phones and other gadgets on silent, please, but I shouldn't need to tell you now about that. All engagement will be done through the AHA Slides, which you have just seen. Please use the app for your Q&As. During the whole forum, we are encouraging people to network with intent, and most importantly, while we're here, is also to have fun and enjoy yourself. So let's all be positive. Other reminders, if you haven't found the restrooms, especially after the coffee and eating so much for lunch, they're at the other ends of the podium. The coffee and snacks will be outside the auditorium after our session, And please do not bring any food or drinks into the auditoriums apart from water. We encourage you to please post this session on social media. If so, please use the event hashtag, which is hashtag ADB Advancing Circularity. Also use the tag @ADB Environment on X, or formerly Twitter, @ADB_HQ on Instagram, and use the Asian Development Bank link on LinkedIn. If you're going to take photographs, please make sure you have the consent of people in the photograph before posting. So, if you can see on the other side of the podium, we have put up a number of poster boards, and we're calling this Connecting the Loop, where we can start to match both your needs with the potential solutions. We invite you during the breaks to fill up post-it notes with resources that you need, and also, if you're on the solution side, what solutions you can offer in the context of circular economy. These could be physical resources, including venues, spaces, activities, learning facilities, materials and tools, intellectual resources, including data, research, information resources, learning materials, human resources, including volunteers, consultant staff, students, community partners and experts, and finally, probably most importantly, financial resources, including grants, investments, and loans. On the first easel, write what resource you need in the context of circular economy, and write down your contact information which you're comfortable sharing, such as LinkedIn, your social media handle, or email, and use only one post-it note per idea. And here we've got a couple of examples to show what we're looking for. So, first one is, I need technical expertise in food-grade recyclable packaging, and then you can see we have the LinkedIn from Juan de las Cruz. Or I need examples of extended producer responsibility, and that's EPR laws in Asia. And there we have an email from hello@circularhub.com. So those are the examples. As you can already see on the boards on either side of you, people have already started to put post-it notes up. On the second easel, we will write down what resource you can offer in the context of a circular economy. The aspect around, again, we would like you to write down your contact information, such as LinkedIn, social media, or your email. And again, only one idea per posted idea. And here again, here's some examples. I can offer a venue for a workshop or an event which can accommodate up to 60 people. Again, the Instagram handle at the bottom. Or I can offer information on circular economy grant that our foundation is launching in August 2025. And there's the Facebook link at the bottom. During the sessions at coffee breaks and also at lunch tomorrow, the team will be helping match the needs and offers based on these various themes. So, I'm going to ask Mo to pick up my folder. Because in my excitement to go on stage, I forgot to put this up. So we're going to kick off in having a series of our speakers come up and give their presentations. And then afterwards, I'm going to invite them back on stage so that we can have a Q&A. And I'm really excited for the next company. We had a very large conversation. I've actually showcased their technologies on our reports available on our website, which is khubtech.org. If anybody is looking for further information on solutions for climate technologies for developing countries. So our first speaker is Eileen Otego-Gambo. I'm very surprised to read the next statement, but Eileen has 39 years of experience in public and private governance, serving in various capacities such as her work in nonprofit organizations focusing on health, women and children, and community development programs, as well as her work in the Philippine State Senate, Civil Aviation Authority of Philippines, and local government units in Metro Manila, Luzon, and Manado. She has come full circle from her position as Chief of Staff of Senator Ortega Mercado from 1994 to 1998, assisting in the technical legislative work for the Land Work Indigenous People Rights Act passed in 1998. She has assumed the role of program manager for the bamboo value chain program in Mindanao, Luzon, and soon the Visayas for Rhizome PH, or Rhizome Philippines? Yeah, let's say Philippines. Working with Indigenous people communities last year, as well as Rhizome's community development lead. So I want you to give a round of applause, and I'm going to invite Eileen onto stage to give her presentation. You okay here, or do you want to sit down with the mic?
Here, I think here.
Perfect.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. I know 1:30 time slot is a difficult time slot because you've had a full lunch and you might be, this is so conducive to sleep. So I hope I will get your full attention as I share with you my topic on digitalization and innovation, breakthroughs in practice. I'm Eileen, Director for Community Bamboo Development and Carbon Capture for Rhizome Philippines. Just a quick introduction of Rhizome. Rhizome is a fully owned Filipino subsidiary of the US company and is actively building a holistic bamboo value chain across the Philippines. The bamboo value chain starts with bamboo propagation and community managed cultivation, leading to the sustainable harvest of mature bamboo. This raw material, or the fiber, is then transformed into advanced engineered bamboo construction materials. As you can see on the right side, these are photos of Catbalogan City Airport in Samar. Currently, we're part of the team that is working on the Tacloban International Airport. Soon, we will be starting a big mall. We're in partnership with a big mall in Santa Rosa in the south, and hopefully more buildings adopting and choosing to use engineered bamboo materials for their structures. Through dedicated cultivation and care from year 1 to 4, Rhizome and its planting partners, including IP communities, ensure the growth of bamboo plants. For us to sustainably harvest the poles, we choose the 5 to 7 year period. And these are some samples of our boards, which are also used for cladding, for beams. And what about the market? Rhizome is committed to buying and purchasing 100% of the poles from communities, specifically IP communities, which we use as our materials for producing engineered construction bamboo products. Why is this very important? Because it guarantees the future market for the bamboo and sustainable livelihood for IP communities. Many times the problem is the market. There are many programs that I know produce very good products, but then the problem of the market comes up, and so they stop producing. From bamboo, we get the fibers, feedstocks, and finished goods. For example, the biochar. This is a byproduct in our factory in Cagayan de Oro. This is brought to our nursery in Manolo Fortis in Bukidnon, and this is used as part of the soil media for the bamboo saplings. And of course, livelihood. What the bamboo program does in the communities that we work with is it provides sustainable livelihood through jobs generation in the entire bamboo process, from the nursery management, from the clearing, to the staking, to the holing, to the hauling, to the digging, to the planting, to the maintenance, to the MRV work, up to the harvesting. The community benefits from this. And tomorrow I'll have I'll have a chance to explain this further if you can join us tomorrow. Now, why bamboo? This morning, bamboo was mentioned in the plenary. And why bamboo? Because it's a highly efficient carbon sink. It grows 10 to 15 times biomass or carbon per hectare. It reduces water runoff and helps to replenish aquifers. It survives fire and drought. And we know this because in one of our planting sites in Bukidnon, during the El Nino, several hectares were caught fire, but 60% survived. And these are 2-year-old bamboos. they survived when we did the live audit. And of course, as we always say in Rhizome, bamboo has the strength of steel and toughness of concrete. Now, while tree planting is known as a climate strategy, Rhizome has strategically focused on giant bamboo or Dendrocolamus asper due to the grass' exceptional properties. Why do I say that? Because there's regenerative thinning for continuous benefit. Why thinning? We are under a carbon program, so we cannot use the word harvesting. We are supposed to call it thinning. And so regenerative thinning for continuous benefit. What we've seen with the mature clumps that we harvest from, the more you harvest, it gives back. We harvest 7 poles, less than a year, the 7 poles are back. Talk about sustainability. Talk about continuous lifespan. And what about carbon sequestration? Our program strategically utilizes bamboo to restore natural ecology while also delivering sustainable livelihood and economic empowerment to small farmers and especially IP communities who are there far, far away in the mountains. Our data indicates that 1 acre or 0.40 hectare of rhizomes cultivated bamboo can actively sequester up to 400 metric tons of CO2 annually. Right now, we have about 759,885 planted bamboos in Carmen and President Rojas Cotabato. By the end of the year, we are to plant 1 million. In Nueva Vizcaya, we will start planting this August, and we are to plant 2 million by the end of 2027. In summer, it's the same thing in the other areas of Bukidnon. Is it hard? No. It's very, very, very hard. And because why? We are not into the plant and forget mindset. And that has been our problem. The mindset of communities is plant and forget, but we are plant and grow. We are under the carbon program, VERA standards, specifically VM47, which is the ARR program, afforestation, reforestation, and revegetation project. The greenhouse gas reductions are calculated from above ground and below ground biomass. What about the sustainability aspect? We integrate sustainable practices across our operations to drive innovation, reduce risks, and create lasting positive impact. And why is this very important? Yung lasting. Because the carbon program, if you're enrolled under a carbon program, it has a 40-year permanence. We have to make sure that the project remains at a minimum of 40 years. And so everything that we do, the processes that we undertake are all geared towards ensuring that this project not only lasts up to 40 years, but continue beyond 40 years, because bamboo is a miracle grass. It keeps on giving back. Now, this includes the interplanting of bananas and native trees. For example, in our projects, we use bananas and native trees as our fire line, because especially during El Nino season or the dry season, the incidence of fire is real. And so part of what we do is we plant bananas as our fire lines. And it also encourages the farmers. This is, how do you call it? This is another income stream for the farmers, the planting of bananas. But in carbon development, the main product is data. Because data is intangible. You cannot touch it, you cannot feel it, you cannot see it. And so for carbon development, the main product is data. And this is where digitalization comes in. The traditional model is imposed by external consultants or tech firms, bringing in expertise from outside to the communities that we work with. What is Rhizome's direction? We build human capital within the IP communities. People will say, do they even know about digitalization? They'd be surprised. Our IP geotaggers and MRVs are so skilled. They did not start out that way, but they were trained, retrained, mentored, coached all throughout this entire many years, and they have become so competent in what they do. The role of the IPs in digitalization and innovation is that they're actively involved as genuine partners, not as just token, token part of the project, but really genuine partners in this bamboo growing and carbon program. They have been our partners in explaining to community members why it's so important to measure the growth of bamboo, why it's very important that we need to keep the bamboos alive. In a carbon program, because we're enrolled under a carbon program, where we plant, how we plant, who plants, how we monitor, how we do MRV is critical. And so at the first part of planting in growing bamboo is site selection. Is it within the Hansen map? Is it within the DNR land cover map? And if one of our projects is enrolled under FSC, the Forest Stewardship Council certification, was it deforested later 1993? Because there are many parameters for us to be able to do it the carbon way. And so the IP geotaggers and our MRVs are the ones using offline maps in their phones. They use the maps, they trace the ancestral domain to make sure that we fall within the ancestral domain, within eligible land, using this offline maps, and they determine where the worker should be planting. We are not supposed to plant in open forest, so they determine the land stratification. We train them on how to determine open forest, closed forest, cogonal land, fallow land, because there are certain standards how many you can plant depending on the land stratification. And our IP geotaggers are actually doing this. This is a member of the Bugkala tribe. He's a geotagger in Nueva Vizcaya. And this one, I'm so very proud of Nelson. Nelson is part of the Eromane Neminuvu tribe in Carmen, Cotabato. He's a graduate of education but never found work. He's a graduate but always underemployed, earning about 125 to 150 a day. Now he's one of our best bet geotaggers. In the carbon program, every single bamboo has to be geotagged, not only when planted, but when maintained. Here, if you see on the right quadrant below, it shows that in Carmen alone, we have planted 613,077 bamboos, 613,000. And these are their locations. This is a product of the geotagging of our 31 geotaggers, who are all manobos. Just to walk you through, this is stick making by the manobos. And I wanted to include this photo because sometimes people romanticize growing bamboos. It's hard work because our partners are IP communities, and so we plant in ancestral domains. We literally walk to one site 19 kilometers, and that's not flat land. And people ask me, Eileen, why are you thin? Because I walk a lot, a lot. And so when we do hauling, it is either through motorcycles, through horses, through carabaos, through manual hauling, and all using crates, because this is part of the tender loving care of growing bamboos. We don't want to stress the bamboos. Hindi lang tao na si stress, even bamboos. And so, more than planting, we also document maintenance. After, for example, this area planted in September 2023. After 3 months, maintenance work starts. Depending on the size of the area, we either do it in 4 cycles or in 3 cycles. In Carmen, Cotabato, we do it in 3 cycles because it's huge. It's 613,000. By this year, we hit 1 million. So we also need to balance the manpower that will do this. All the plants that have been planted are maintained, geotagged, and we collect metadata photos to determine if they're alive or dead. And that's every cycle. So this is a photo of our maintenance work. This is how a 18 months bamboo look like. This is in the heartland of Bukidnon. This is also part of what our teams collect, our IPs. They take photos and geotags of the maintained plants. We determine if they're dead or alive. And even if they're alive, is their growth according to the carbon modeling we have set in place? Or they're malnourished? Or are they vertically challenged like me? Or if they're vertically challenged like me, why? What were the factors that affected that growth? That's why we also asked several questions. Was it planted in cogonal area? Because cogonal areas are degraded land. So all of these things our IP communities, our IP geotaggers collect. Now, what are the breakthroughs in practice? Empowering communities through integrated digital stewardship. Our IP members, our IP geotaggers, and not only the geotaggers, but the community. We spend so much time explaining digitalization, data collection, because we are not the consumers of the data. It's it's the communities that are the consumers of the data, because if there's so many deaths, why are there so many deaths in one area? It drives the action now of the IP datus. It deepens their problem solving, what factors affected it, but it's data that is shared with them every day. Strategic capacity building and community linkages. We invest in strategic hiring of IP members into operational roles. And we spend a lot of time talking. These are not your once a month talking. This is every week. Brown bag sessions in the field, right in the field with our MRVs and the workers. Because we want to literally capacitate, including workers, to understand the carbon program, and how do we take care of the bamboos so that it will reach its mature age of 7 and we start thinning and the community will start benefiting from the harvesting, sorry, Vera might hear me, thinning of bamboos. Precise data generation for project accountability. This is very sad because what I've seen in my many years of working, there's no accountability. In the areas I've been to, it's plant and forget. They give money for planting and then that's it. You come back after 6 months, you can't see any bamboos. What we want to do is to establish accountability because we want communities to recognize that this is hard and hard work. And part of it is being accountable for whatever happens to every investment of, for example, the carbon money. We want everyone to be accountable for the outcome, the process and the outcome of the undertaking. Proactive support for technology adoption. That's another breakthrough in practice. Why? It's very difficult to connect geotagging and planting. Our geotaggers are, for example, members of the tribe. Their parents or their uncles will say, why are you reporting? You're a member of the tribe. You shouldn't be reporting death of bamboos. But now they realized that technology adoption is about understanding what's it about. If you look at the photo, periodically we will print tarpaulins to show the direct link of planting and geotagging. And now, after 2 years, the basis of truth of the IP communities are no longer what they say, but what is backed by evidence-based data, and these are the geotags, both for planting and maintenance. You see, under the tree, in a structure, under the skies, we do a lot of talking with the communities. These are IPs in President Rojas, explaining data, explaining MRV work. Cultivating self-sustaining local expertise. I am very proud of the geotaggers from Gawasan, North Cotabato, because they are now the ones, we've used them, we've asked them to train the IPs in another ancestral domain. They teach them the way we taught them, the way we trained them, the way we mentor them. They're now training and mentoring other IPs. I cannot, when I was watching them training fellow IPs from another tribe, it gives me so much joy because it's an IP training another IP from another ancestral domain, teaching them about digital tools, teaching them about tools that they could only dream of in the past. Why do we do what we do? Because it's our dream, really. It's a collective dream to have intergenerational legacy through growing bamboos and intergenerational wealth. From this Datu to his grandchild, and to this grandchild, to his grandchild. So with that, thank you very much.
So, oops. I'm vertically challenged the other way. But thank you so much. As you can see, Rhizome is a really amazing company, which we have showcased in our website on KHub. If you look at sustainable housing solutions on our website, which is khubtech.org. So I have to get my promotion in. Also, if you've got any questions, both on our audience online or the people who are in the room today, please use AHA slides there to ask questions, and we'll get to Q&A afterwards. Talking of my favorite projects, it's great to have Rudolf Peralta on a stage next. I've been working with Rudolf now since, yeah, so we're working since we at the KHub set up the plastic waste discovery space for the cleanup of the Pasig River. Rudolf and Arup were the successful winners of that competition with River Recycle and other consortium partners. Rudolf is the lead of the digital and geospace for Arup here in the Philippines. He delivers his digital and technical capabilities for Arup as a geomatrics expert. I don't know what geomatrics is, but is it geomatrics together? Where he leads the analysis of spatial data sets for multidisciplinary teams in a wide variety of infrastructure projects, from roads, bridges, site-specific assessment studies, water treatment designs, and transport network analysis. He is the project manager for the development of the ADB Pasig River Digital Twin, which is a plastic waste use case that will track the flow and accumulation of plastic waste in the Pasig River. And for the people in the room and also in the audience who don't know, the Pasig River is seen as the world's most plastic polluted river, contributing over 6% of all river ocean plastic. Through the digital twin, he's identifying key pollution sources and developing actionable insights to reduce plastic waste. So if I can get Rudolf on the stage, he can give you a little bit more about the Pasig River digital twin.
Thank you, Dr. Clyde. So I need to bring my machine because I need to be on track with my time. So I have my personal notes here. All right. So I got 20 minutes, Dr. Clyde, right? Okay. So good afternoon, everyone. This session is called Breakthrough in Practice, Digitalization and Breakthrough in Practice. And I would say that this is literally breakthrough in my practice for 12 years. I was telling Dr. Clyde that I'm a new blood for the circular economy. So welcome me. And I'm joining the whole Avengers and Defenders of the Earth in terms of the plastic waste management, because I've been, in my past 12 years, I've been doing a lot of GIS or geographic information system, mainly on the roads and bridges, site development studies. So I'm really delighted to join the whole bunch of Avengers for the plastics, addressing the plastic problem here in the Philippines. All right, so let me just briefly introduce Arup. So I've been with Arup for almost 8 years. And basically, Arup is a multidisciplinary engineering advisory consultancy group. So we guide, plan, and design the future of the built environment, and with advisory and technical expertise across more than 150 disciplines, distributed in more than 90 offices globally. So we've been operating here in the Philippines for 20 years already, and our office is just beside ADB. So if you have been in the Podium Mall, so we're at the 36th floor. And I would also like to share these images. So I live 500 meters away from San Juan River. So San Juan River is the most polluting, plastic emitting tributary that drains to Pasig River. So I draw some personal connection on really pushing for a digital twin solution. And the other images here says that 12 years ago, when I was still finishing my undergraduate studies. I am part of the research project that aims to do the hydrological modeling of the Pasig River. If you're familiar with Project NOAA, so I'm still a student that time that worked on the initial models and came up with this comprehensive flooding simulation now we call Project NOAA. And back then, I know for a fact that one aspect of our flooding problem is the plastics problem. And the plastics problem is also a people's problem. And I was exactly on that river doing the river survey, the bathymetric survey, to prepare the baseline for all of our hydrological and flood simulation. And who would have thought that 12 years after, here am I now. I'm part of the great team from Arup River Cycle, joining ADB, and developing now a digital twin solution for the same river. And I would like to personally thank Asian Development Bank, Dr. Clyde's and Kai's team for spearheading this discovery challenge. So we all aim to have a plastic-free future for the Pasig River, and we are all connected with this river, right? So this initiative began, as Dr. Clyde mentioned, when they came up last November with the Pasig River Plastic Waste Discovery Space, calling participants to collaboratively work together to test some models and come up with some strategies for reducing plastic pollution. So basically, the goal is to simulate interventions before real-world implementation, ensuring effective and scalable solutions. So this is some sort of a progress reporting on where we are at the moment. All right, so we at Arup and River Recycle having a shared vision for this Pasig River, and after winning the ADB Pasig Digital Challenge on how digital twin technology can be used to effectively reduce plastic waste pollution, as Dr. Clyde mentioned, one of the largest contributors to the global ocean plastic. And we have been engaged to deliver this project. We started last April, so we're now on the second month of our project delivery. So the digital twin will help to identify plastic hotspots, pinpointing where the highest concentrations of waste are located. It will also provide insights into the types of activities and communities contributing most to the pollution of the river, as well as the specific types of plastics involved. So this is basically our terms of reference. And additionally, it will enable tracking of seasonal variations, showing when pollution levels peak throughout the year. And the intention of this digital twin project is to hand this over to the government as a public infrastructure. So if you are a representative from government, you should be excited about this one because this is going to be a digital public infrastructure. The data resides in the government, the predictive use cases that this project can develop, leveraging from the existing data that can be shared across government agencies. Did I get it right, Dr. Clyde? And as part of the future um, strategy for the Pasig River, I extracted these slides from the REPAM project leader, Christine Chan. So I think if this is your first time to have heard the Pasig River Digital Twin, there has been many decades of work together with the digital technology and together with all other sectors. This is, of course, ADB has been doing a lot of work. And of course, if you are here, you're part of this good work that we're putting together to come up with this Pasig River rehabilitation. So the Pasig River Digital Twin is part of ADB's Rejuvenating Pasig River for Livable Manila, or the REPAM initiative, supporting the government's Pasig River Development Project. So with the aim that we need to make Manila more livable. So we are in this journey together. So this is just a current roadmap of where ADB is at the moment in terms of establishing local international partnerships for Pasig River rehabilitation. So this initiative was launched last April during the ADB annual meeting as one of the key priorities of ADB to support urban development efforts under the PBBM Priority Project. So there are 15-member interagency council that forms the Pasig River Urban Development, holistically collaborating with each other in support of this project. So this is initiative um, through the REPAM project, supports the Pasig Bigyang Buhay Muli program through a smart, climate resilient, and integrated urban planning and investment solutions. So the Pasig River basically brings together government agencies, the private sector, the civil society to co-develop this digital twin, a data-driven, scalable, and locally relevant solutions to restore the Pasig River, and of course, promoting circular economy. I actually like this map. So the current TA, where we are currently working, has some of this working relationship already with any of the governments at the moment. So these are the various players in the Pasig River urban development. So this is a plastics use case, but there is a broader digital twin that is between the SUD and the ICT. So the overarching digital twin is within the DSUD as the Urban Development Project Development Chair. It is vice chaired by DNR and MMDA. So this one that we're particularly doing, it should be in DNR, but in terms of the geographical focus of the Pasig River, it's with MMDA. But if you look at the greater landscape of Pasig River, considering Manila Bay and Laguna Lake, so then it would be DNR, LLDA. So you see how complex the whole stakeholder arrangement for this Pasig River. So it's very complicated in terms of the stakeholders in the waste sector. You have DNR at the national level, you have MMDA at the greater city level, and you have this, and within the city level, you have all these barangay units, all these LGUs. I hope I was able to, capture this whole complex system of how we could really integrate our efforts together for this Pasig River digital twin use case. And one fundamental part of the urban development management is the development of the digital twin. And as we scale this up, the digital twin will also be positioned to address other key themes concerning Pasig River rehabilitation. So under, again, this digital twin focus that I'm presenting, it's really more on the identification of plastic hotspots. How do we map all these cleanup efforts? How do we predict the pollution levels of plastics through seasonal variations? So there's a lot of great efforts or great ongoing efforts related to the Pasig River cleanup, including if you are from the government, you are here, that includes your work. And there's an opportunity to bring all together or to bring together all these initiatives into one single platform with the ultimate end goal of reducing plastic contribution of Pasig River globally. So we are just at still phase 0. So this is just the beginning of a longer term journey towards this plastic pollution problem in Pasig River. And the best approach that we are taking in is to be very seamless in our implementation, taking it step by step, starting with the groundwork, starting with the baseline, come up with a framework that will continue to mature through time, because the more complicated we make it, the more challenging it will be for buy-in. We cannot go to the predictive level without the baseline information. We need to start with some baseline data, then go to the dynamic representation of this data, then we go to the analytics. And it is our mantra for this project delivery that we have to deliver something that is meaningful in a very short period of time. All right,
is
so
a critical global focal point in the effort to
There's a
combat
video
ocean
and
plastic
there's an
pollution.
audio.
Flowing
That's
through
true for the
Metro Manila,
technical.
this 27-kilometer river contributes over 6% of the world's ocean plastic waste from rivers, making it one of the top sources globally. The Asian Development Bank has launched a Discovery Space program that aims to put up a digital twin solution to effectively reduce plastic pollution in the Pasig River. Leveraging advanced digital tools, this will provide a powerful means of monitoring and managing plastic waste to prevent it from reaching oceans. Along with River Recycle, we are supporting the Asian Development Bank to develop the Pasig River Plastic Twin. The Pasig River Plastic Twin will aid communication and monitoring and will support all the different stakeholders of the Pasig River system. The tool brings together integrated data sets on hydrology, seasons, climate and plastic accumulation, visualises it and transforms the data into predictive models that will forecast plastic pollution levels. When everything is visualised, interventions can become much more efficient and sustainable. The action for Pasig River rehabilitation started many years ago, but the need to act has never been more urgent. The Pasig River is our home. By coming together with this shared vision, we are not just continuing the work, but driving change and accelerating our impact to shape a better Pasig River for all. Find out more on arab.com.
So we highlight the sense of urgency and we need to act now. And basically, what we want to do is to plan for success. And I think success looks like looks for the longevity of the project itself. So the Pasig River Plastic Digital Twin is being developed as an open source and scalable spatial digital twin aligned with all these Gemini principles. So it must have a clear purpose, it must be trustworthy, it must function effectively. And this is what we aspire to extract from this digital twin of Pasig River. This is the current reality of the Pasig River. As I mentioned, I live 500 meters away, so I know exactly that place. That's in Buhangin Creek in Sevilla Bridge, connecting Santa Mesa and Mandaluyong. Yeah, so it is really a very sad and frustrating image, right? So I've been seeing that image for almost 12 years. But of course, I have to mention that our government agencies, DNR, MMDA, has been doing a lot of efforts in doing all these cleanup operations. And I have seen changes significantly, right? I have to mention that. I have to mention that. And to the plastic problem, it's a people problem. You need to communicate. You need the engagement. You need to raise the awareness why this is important. What is the role of all these government stakeholders into the solution? And of course, this is a community problem. If you want to really have an effective implementation, we have to make them feel proud about themselves, right? About the community, about the environment. So this project touches about it, and we have partners who know the community, River Recycle, who are the community, who work with the community, who knows the community, and all these implementing regulators and government departments. So it's really like a bottom-up approach. It's about uplifting the community and improving the quality of life. And of course, we could connect this about uplifting the people from poverty. These are really key, principles of why we are doing this shared vision for Pasig River. So in terms of the architecture, there are many boxes here, but what we work through is the first understanding what data is available, where can we source it from. We then bring that together, integrate it into a way that can be easily visualized. And we're also looking at how we augment the manual processes that happen now in identifying different types of plastics that River Recycle, DNR, MMDA, and LGUs are currently doing, with the use of cameras and technology and machine learning to automate that process so we could be able to get closer to the real-time analysis of plastics throughout the river system. So that's just one piece of the work that we're doing now. But our aim here is to come up with a real-time identification of plastics. Can we do that? With your help, yes. By analyzing this data, we can optimize resource allocation to ensure the most effective cleanup interventions. So this is the predictive modeling approach for how we could really integrate a plastic flow based on the hydrology, seasons, and climate. So if you have visited our booth, we have actually a quiz there. So having communications with our with the local government units, like those who are actively involved in the cleanup operations, there is some kind of trend. Let's say, for example, the plastic flow varies differently within the day because there's a low tide and high tide scenarios in the Pasig River and Laguna de Bay. And the plastic dynamics also vary wherever you are on the Pasig River, the meandering curve of the river, and you will be able to notice that the current of the water is much faster on one side, but the current of the water is a bit lower. So you will be able to, I think that's one of the goal, how we could really incorporate the predictive flow of water dynamics through these seasonal variations with the plastic flow. And that's the goal of the digital twin framework, to capture the real-time plastic flow and accumulation based on these seasonal and weather patterns. All right, so I also like this image. We start working with this project by understanding the needs of our stakeholders. And this is where, of course, River Recycle, our partner who are out in the field right now, and likely end users of this kind of platform, will help us to understand what sort of information could be portrayed through the platform, what makes it easy to use, and that will help inform the design and the overall structure of the digital twin. So this is a technological solution for a real-world problem of a specific department. So we need to understand, who are we building this platform for? Who are the intended users of this platform? So last May 7, we just had a kickoff. That was, I think, last month. We facilitated the discussion, and within that kickoff, we need to have a powerful narrative for the stakeholder engagement. We need to highlight the urgency and the scale of the issue. So we are able to present the approach of the Pasig River Digital Twin and understand how it can contribute to the ongoing Pasig River rejuvenation efforts of all these government departments. We need to agree on the next steps, including the data sharing mechanisms, the technical coordination structure, the identification of all these focal people for government who are working for this Pasig River. And we need to initiate a discussion on the institutional arrangements for long-term sustainability and later on ownership of the digital twin system. So we actually have several meetings already with the Manila DPS, with MMDA, the DNR PRCMO, DPWH, and Project eSmart. I just want to share a little bit of what we have discussed during those discussions. For DNR PRCMO, they mentioned that they appreciate that they're getting help and support on this problem. And currently, the DNR has been doing a lot of regular cleanups. They are deploying trash traps, and there's a lot of coordination on the deployment of not just the trash traps, but also labor warriors and DNR personnel. And the reports are coming from this team personnel. And at the moment, they are still in the process of harmonizing their data sets internally, where they're getting information from EMB, from MMDA, from Manila Bay Coordinating Office. And for DNR, what they're really after is the baseline information in terms of how many were collected for the past years. And identifying the hotspots would be one thing, but the real pain point from DNR is the source and the behavior of people contributing to the plastic waste. So our approach is to engage these agencies and LGUs in their process. And this would help streamline coordination, identify any existing data that we might leverage, and clarify their potential contributions from the outset. So doing this early on will make the process more efficient and responsive. All right, so I need to wrap up because I saw that. All right, so for us to do that, we came up with this digital journey user map. So from all of the inputs from DNR, MMDA, Manila LGU, Philippine Space Agency, we're able to determine now the steps, the tools, the process, the decision-making process, the pain points, and some opportunities for this, for the success of this project. So one of the key points here is that we need input data. That's why I really like the boards there of mentioning what do you need. We need data. We need real-time data. And we've had a couple of discussions already, and these are the list of the data sets that we require. And so these data sets can either be federated directly from the government agencies who may be making the data available, or we can curate the data and host it in the server and bring that data in through the platform. So in terms of benchmarking the quality of the data, it should be available, not just available, it should be accessible. It should not just be accessible, it should be of quality and timely, accurate, precise, reliable, and trustworthy. And it should be in a usable format. And of course, we've already been talking about data governance, data sharing. That's really an important discussion that is currently ongoing now. Who would host this platform after 6 months, after Arup and River Recycle, and after Dr. Clyde, or after Christine, the whole ADB team has completed this. And based on our initial data mapping, some data sets are publicly available but restricted for download. Some data sets are publicly viewable but shows limited information. Some data sets are publicly viewable but the required data format is for further requests. That's the real scenario. All right, so let me just go over this slide now. So this digital twin will integrate data on formal and informal potential sources of waste and connect to weather models to account for factors like wind, rainfall, water level that influence the flow of plastics. So this comprehensive approach will enhance our understanding of Pasig River plastic pollution by integrating all these data layers. I like this slide as well. One of the challenges that we are currently facing now is to show consistency on the tracking of our data. Guess what? We are able to capture 6-year historical plastic cleanup efforts from Manila DPS. And when we asked that data from them, so they just gave us an Excel full of, all these logs. So we need to transform that into something that is much more meaningful and usable. And with that data, we are able to map initially the plastic hotspots at the barangay level. Would you imagine? And this is another scenario. With that coordination from Manila Department of Public Services, they normally post their cleanup efforts on social media. And they have a good storage of all these photos from year 2020 up to year 2025. So it's catalog here. How can we make use of that data and of that information, right? Is it just for public announcement, or is it just for social media? Is it just for, reporting? So we're currently doing this, transforming data into insights using AI image vision analytics. So this is some of our early machine learning that we've been running in the background, getting ready for the whole delivery of the project, the machine learning and the vision analytics. If we are able to get more data from the field, then we can get much faster in understanding the real-time flow of plastic, at least at the surface level. So these are some of the plastic types that we are considering. So we try to connect it on the source, the fractional usage. We are getting a lot of PET, water bottles, and plastic cups. So I have my team over there, sitting over there. So these are the data scientists behind these ones. So if you have some questions, you can also approach them. All right? So this is an actual image of their cleanup operation. So you see, with this machine learning and AI vision analytics, we're able to get something from all these captured images from Manila DPS. All right. I think I'm going to my last slide now. So we just ran a video of how we have implemented this machine learning over that Buhangin Creek earlier that I showed earlier. So as you can see, this is the starting of the model. So we are really aiming to fine-tune the model with the requirement of more than 5,000 images. So if you have that image, please share it with us so that we can really fine-tune the model, train the model to be more accurate, to be more precise. But you can see here that it is already detecting something. And based on our initial metrics, from the wax of River Recycle, our partner, and the 2025 Data Stereo Rangers, all these photos that we have captured, it already started to detect some of these plastic types. These are just initial metrics, but we need to make this more accurate, all right? So we need more data sets, we need more data. So as you can see, the 1/3 that, of that pie chart is the PET beverage bottles, comprising 33.8%. And there is also some food containers, packaging films, plastic bags. And this is another use case. On Saturday, on a one Saturday, when we have met up with MMDA FCOS, there was this news last year that the agency recorded flooding along the northbound lane of EDSA Ortigas in front of Camp Aguinaldo. And one of the stories here is that the reason why it flooded the whole EDSA is because of the substantial volume of garbage that had blocked the drainage system, and there has been a sudden significant volume of rainwater that is connected to that specific entire panel of plywood along with plastic materials that has blocked this whole drainage system. So this is an example of how we can really scale up this use case addressing flood control mitigation. And throughout the project duration, we will be setting up a platform where we'll be incrementally adding data and outputs from the modeling work. And then once we understand the flows, we'll then be looking at how we make predictions based on these seasonal patterns and implications. And at the end, we will be documenting and handing over all these materials on how to use the twin, but we'll also need to have a discussion on how we could really make it sustainable. So this is my last slide now. We are creating a blueprint. We're trying to find a universal solution. And if we can solve Manila Bay and Pasig River challenge, then we can really solve the plastic solution challenge globally. And if these tools that we're developing, if this framework that we're working on, if these types of partnership do really work as they are supposed to do, this can be financially sustainable, scalable, and reliable, that can be allowed for all other sites as well. It can be a game changer. We know this is a massive issue. We just really need to, deal it with a multifaceted approach. And we're really looking forward to working together for us to have a great outcome from this project. That's all. Thank you everyone for listening.
Thank you so much. That's another sales point. If anybody has data, please contact the ARP team there. They're always keen. I know he's got the post-it notes up and ready. The next speaker, obviously, I have to mention, if you have any questions on Rudolph or to any other of our speakers, please send them to us on AHA slides. The next speaker is really talking on a topic which is really important to the K-Hub team. Actually, next door, our colleague Sarah Lim is giving a talk on how Korea can be used as an example for extended producer responsibility, or EPR. And I'm really delighted that Sabi Jorhi is here to talk about how you can use digital platforms on this, because for us, EPR is a very crucial way of looking at how do we solve the challenges of plastic. Sabi is the founder of ASM Global, a systems innovation company advancing circular economy solutions through technology, policy, and inclusion. She has led the development of the Recycle X platform, which enables traceability, transparency, and circularity and sustainable material value chains. With deep expertise in circular economy strategy, digital infrastructure, and climate-aligned investment, Sabi helps governments, investors, and enterprise design scalable and data-driven systems. for waste and resource management. Her work blends systems thinking with practical innovation to accelerate the transition towards regenerative and inclusive economies. So that's very impressive. So if you want to take the stage, and we'll get on with your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Surbhi Jore. I'm the founder and CEO of ASM. And today we are going to talk about the community-based digital solution and how we are actually innovating technology and its adoption to the last mile. So today we are going to talk about how we are redefining the sustainability practices, how we are bringing every stakeholder in the value chain in mainstream and give them access to data. And the importance of data here is not only for bringing in the overall digitization in circular economy, but it also helps unlock climate finance by means of plastic credits or climate credits, carbon credits, or stewardship programs. And it helps in turn in overall EPR compliance. So the key technology that we use, that we are going to talk about today, are largely the smart ledger, internet, IoT, AI, and the digital marketplace. So now, why digitization matters? What is the importance? So to support the global and regional sustainability targets like sustainable development goals or the zero waste to nature or zero waste to landfill kind of initiatives. We have seen the net zero commitment from different countries in the different milestones, be it in 2030, 2050, and so on. Now, what makes it difficult right now is the complexity. The complexity of the waste, the different types from different supply chains, and the overall resource management systems. And apart from that, the regulations which are imbibed with different supply chains, different uh, the waste problems overall from plastic, from hazardous waste, agri waste, uh, organic waste, etc. So there is a need of transparency and traceability and accountability of the material that flows from point A all the way it is sustainably disposed or brought back into the resource recovery or circular supply chain. So again, in terms of efficiency, there is a push towards a scalable, cost-effective, and efficient solution that can be applied across different geographies. So what our digital solution does, it works on the 5 pillars of innovation that are the digital traceability platform, smart ledger for EPR and credit system, IoT smart sensors and integration, and AI and advanced analytics for provenance. And there is the digital marketplace integration. So now, how this platform works. The platform called Inclusive, it brings the digital traceability by enabling end-to-end tracking of material from its origin all the way it is becoming a circular material or coming back into the circular supply chain. It is integrated with the smart ledgers, which help unlock the climate finance by means of EPR credits or carbon credits, etc. How it does that? So it creates an immutable and tamper-proof record of waste recovery and all the way up to credit generation. It has IoT integration and it enhances the overall material recovery facilities, make them efficient, and help them track the throughputs throughout the entire value chain. Now it has AI and advanced analytics. So it uses the predictive modeling to forecast the plastic waste. It's generation hotspots. Since we have seen the patterns changing based on the seasons, based on the geographies, the regions, etc. So it helps with those kind of predictive analysis as well. And finally, it is integrated with the digital marketplace, which promotes the competitive pricing, and it helps with supply demand matching, and thus bringing in the efficiency in overall resource utilization. So now how it works. In a typical supply chain, we have seen material origin, it gets processed, and finally a new product is manufactured. Now at every step of this supply chain, material is tagged. Material is tagged from the beginning, from the origin, and this tagging is done through a mobile application. Now this app is used to capture every transaction. It captures the critical data, like at the origin, what was the activity that happened, who did that activity, when did it happen, where did it happen, and how was it done. So these sets of information typically form a data block, which then sits on the automated ledger and updated using the smart ledger technology that Inclusive offers. So at every step in the supply chain, all these informations are captured, and the system, because it is inbuilt with the AI models, so it is able to flag the anomalies if at all there are any, and it also helps with the overall impact matrix which is specific to different requirements of regulatory or impact funding requirements. So it aligns with those kind of matrix as well. And these dashboards are ultimately used for the compliance reporting or credit claims, even the climate finance kind of projects, etc. So today I'm going to talk about the case study from Philippines. Here in the province of Bulacan, there is a class 1 city municipality called Plaridel, where this plastic recovery program has been conducted. And it has been an ongoing project through the schools, community centers, and city hall. So while we have seen the initial segregation or sorting was not in place, but it was largely handed over, or largely handed over through the unregulated junk shops, which ultimately result in no visibility of traceability. So what has predominantly happened is, when we started this project, we have seen a lot of challenges. When we started this discussion with the city municipalities, we have discussed it with the mayor, with the city office, and then we have understood that there are so many challenges. The ecosystem is fragmented. There is no traceability and interoperability in terms of maintaining that data. The reportings were manual, and there was limited, visibility from across the informal sector, as well as all the way into the supply chain as it grows. So when we took this project we discussed with the city mayor, and when it went to the Sangguniang Bank, and finally we started working on this project. So we got to understand that household, they rarely practice source segregation. And I think it is not specific to this city municipality. We have largely seen this practice across different geographies. And most of the time, these activities are driven by informal sector, but there is no visibility, because they try to do their best in terms of keeping those records in the form of receipts, or in the form of images, etc. But there is no such system which integrate these different sets of information. And on top of that, while cities, they are investing a lot in improving the infrastructure, they are investing in machineries, they are investing in upgrading the existing material recovery facilities, but they have no visibility as to from where my material is going to come in, and how frequently I will get what type of material. And I mean, in in the nutshell, what type of infra I should be deploying so that I can make my city circular. So these collection data ultimately, since they were all fragmented, it created a lot of blind spots, and they were not able to create the impact through the sale of EPR credits, which could actually directly add into their revenue streams. And brands, on the other hand, they were also struggling to meet their EPR obligations. So what we did, so when we implemented inclusive in the cities, while we did a lot of training programs and ongoing deployment activities, there were deployment supports provided. We work closely with the CENROs, the city government, the city municipalities, and help create a unique digital identity of every stakeholder who is involved in the waste collection. And these identities, they were built in with the regulated KYC and the due diligence frameworks. Now, when all these things were done, on the material side, the digital chain of custody of material was maintained. The activities from the point of collection all the way up to recycling or co-processing, they are recorded on the digital platform, and they were updated using the smart ledger system. And and when all these activities are completed, then it is linked with the marketplace for the EPR credit management. So all these generated EPR credits were then verified and audited by independent third-party CPAs, and upon their verification and audit, these credits were then issued and ultimately retired to the legit buyers. Now, our solution, how it has helped create a digital circular economy. So there are 4 important pillars here. One is traceability, next analytics, credit marketplace, and IoT integration. In terms of the traceability, it establishes the digital documentation from collection point, its origin, all the way as it is moving to the collection centers, to the material recovery facility, uh, identified and sorted into different SKUs based on the material, and these SKUs are then reaching the recycler. And so end-to-end traceability of the physical operations is maintained. In terms of analytics, like I mentioned, it highlights the waste hotspots. What are the locations and how frequently they are generating that specific types of waste, or if there are seasonal variations, if there is a situation, a festive situation or flood situation, etc. So we have seen those trends to be shifting a bit, or there are some sort of festivities going on. So we have seen a sudden increase in the volume of waste that gets generated. So those type of analytics, along with the leakage points, if there are some water bodies, etc., that were there. So based on those leakage points, the tool was able to prescribe the location for trash booms, because when we have seen something is coming from upstream, and it is accumulating more in the downstream, because it is not just the contribution from the upstream, but also from the tributaries. So those kind of analytics actually help to identify what are the hotspots and how we can locate those, and how we can actually strategically place those trash booms. Then the credit marketplace, it helps to scale the it helps in sale of the certified plastic credits, since it is based on the frameworks of RA 11898. It complies with the federal regulation, and it ultimately helps the financial inclusion till last mile. And since it also has inbuilt IoT integration, while we work meticulously on plastic recovery program, this is something that has been a very important factor. Like after 2 years of completion of our project, what we have seen, it is not only the plastic that they were able to recover, but they were also able to enhance the quality of organic waste which was coming in into their central material recovery facility. And so we actually provide the real-time monitoring and data collection for the organic fraction of waste which is coming in, and that actually unlocks the potential for carbon credit generation going forward. So the kind of impact that we have been able to create so far in terms of helping the city municipality, we have able to help them unlock the finance of 1 million PHP. The methodology was RA11898. We have been able to upcycle 700,000 kgs of plastic through this initiative. The credits that were thus generated were verified by independent CPAs, and the impact credits were bought by different obliged entities and PROs. And as a result of this activity, there was not only the social and financial inclusion, but we are also able to segregate 1 million kg of waste right at the point of origin. And throughout this activity, we have been very thankful for the support of Mayor Josel Vestan from the city municipality of Plaridel, and the team for the constant support they have provided in terms of adoption of platform to last mile. Like, this platform has been adopted by the schools, the city municipal offices, as well as different industry corporations, institutional buildings, etc. So you can see from some of these pictures how the junk shop operators are now able to use this tool in their POS machines. It is not only dependent on their mobile application, but it actually helps get the printed receipts from the POS machine. And the fair wages to the rack pickers and junk shop operators is also ensured through this platform. As an organization, we are present across more than 35 countries. We have been empaneled technology provider under Climate Technology Center Network of UNEP. And we have been a part of Binghamton University in New York for the battery traceability program. So we are working across different commodities that include the battery material, textile, sustainable aviation fuel, or biomethane, etc., these kind of material. And these technologies are not only adopted at the bottom of the pyramid, like from the curbside collectors or junk shops, all the way the CXOs and impact fund, they are utilizing this technology to make the informed decision and create the impact dashboards through this. We have been featured across some of the platforms of UN and WWF, Recycling Today, etc. I think I'll stop here, and happy to have the questions, if any. Thank you.
So, if you want to go and take a seat, that'd be perfect. If I ask all the speakers to come back up, I'm going to, nope, that's not moving. It's going to put up the AHA slide again for the questioning, but it's not moving. Ah, there we go. So if you have any questions for our panelists, please fill them in now and use the link there, and we'll get going. And I'm going to sit down because I'm too tall. Hello, that's great. I want to thank the panelists for giving the talks. I'm really inspired by the whole three organizations here. I've had the pleasure of seeing some of your work firsthand. And although you look like you're doing different aspects, you have one really common theme, which is how to get people engaged with digital platforms. So I'd really be interested to ask that as a question. So, like, how, when people often think about digital, they don't think about engagement, but each of you are using your platform to directly engage with people. So for the people here, what are the lessons you've learned around using your platforms to digitally engage people? And I'll start with you, Eileen.
I think at the heart of digitalization is how data is appreciated and embraced because you can have a wealth of data and nobody uses it. You can have a lot of data stored anywhere and everywhere, but who uses it? And one of the things that we had to wrestle with is even in a carbon development program where data is very, very critical. How do we now engage the community to look at data as something that will help improve operations, that will help empower them in their decision making? And so a big part of stakeholder engagement is really understanding how data uh, affects the lives of our stakeholders and how they can use the data to make decisions that will make life better for each one. I think even in organizations I've been with, data is data is not seen as a powerful means to change the way things are going. And until you get to that point, data will only be seen as something that is imposed rather than embraced. And so for us, we have used a lot of organizational development processes and tools for our partners and our stakeholders to utilize data from their lens, not from ours. Because unless they see its value, they will just use it when you're there. But if you're not there, they will not use it. And so right now, I think one of the strongest areas we've developed is really um, looking at the lens, using the lens of our partners, the IPs, and how they use and the kind of data that they need. Not the kind of data we want to show them, but the kind of data that they recognize is something that will make their operations really much better. So.
Thank you so much.
So similar to what I have presented earlier, we had that discussion from the Manila local government unit, and I got a chance to talk to the Manila Estero Rangers themselves, the lead of the river warriors. And normally what they do to data is just to report it. It's just for reporting. That's why I agree to my colleague here as well, that they need to appreciate the insights that we could get from this data. It's not just really for reporting, for mere reporting, but um, one key aspect here, like what I mentioned earlier, the plastic problem is a people problem. It's a community problem. And for us to get the buy-in of these stakeholders is that we need to make them proud that they are producing all these baseline data that are useful and meaningful to solve a global problem. So if we could really, uplift that morale from all these key stakeholders that we are engaging in, I think that is part of the whole holistic approach for the whole plastic waste man. It's not just really data. You're providing something that really that can really solve a plastic pollution problem. I think that's from my experience, Dr. Clyde.
Problem solvers. I love it.
So my view in terms of data, it is rightly said, like if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. So when we started like these kind of programs, the community-based programs, we started interacting with the LGUs. The problem that we faced was there was lack of awareness of what type of data they should be able to generate. And you know, we'll talk about the uses later, but then how to generate it, what type of data should be there, we began tackling it from there. And once these pieces were identified, we help them stitch together. So once you know that okay, these are the data points that I need, and So once this what is clarified, then we can work on how we get to these data points. And then gradually we started working on what could be the ways and means to get those data, and ultimately come on or bring that inference from the data as to how we can utilize it in terms of the climate financing or compliance, meeting the compliance or regulations, etc. So, yeah.
I'm, I'm going to encourage people to ask questions. I'm actually going to stick with you because you're going to be scared of me, but there's lots of questions that came in for you. And I'll start off with a question from Trixie, which is, she's, I'm assuming she shouldn't genderize that, but they're wondering, how has ASM Global made it easy for users to utilize digital solutions? And how did you encourage partners to use your tool? Because if it's not easy, people are not going to use it.
Okay. So, okay, let me put it this way. ASM's Inclusive is a modular platform. So there are different stakeholders and it is built with role-based access control. So there are different stakeholders who have dedicated function. They will be able to access that much part of the tool only. Like there is a big elephant and I'm only seeing the tail of it. I'll define the tool that way. For example, the junk shops or the curbside collectors, when they are using this tool, or an individual contributor, when they are using this tool, they are using it as a digital wallet, that okay, I have contributed this much material, and against that I have been incentivized this much, or this much amount I have gained from this initiative. So they are using it as a wallet. Now when it comes to a material recovery facility operator, then it is a tool to manage their inward material flow and the outward material flow. When it comes to a recycler, they are using it as an ERP through which they can manage and monitor their internal processes, the production uptime, production downtime, or even the final output, what is the yield, and all those sort of things. When it comes to regulators, they are able to see what are those different activities that happen and how this data is resonating with the claims that are made. Similarly, with the impact investors or the funders, they are able to get the access of overall impact of the fund infusion they are doing in the overall supply chain. So because of its modular nature, and of course, like every digital tool, it require some sort of trainings and those learning modules. It has been built in 10 most spoken languages in the world and so on. But on top of that, these modularities actually help in adoption better, because as a junk shop operator, I need not know what information a regulator seeks, right? And vice versa. So the modularity actually helped. Thank you.
Perfect. I have a lot of bamboo related questions. So Eileen, are you able to answer some bamboo questions for us? So lots of people are very concerned about the health of bamboo. So I've got questions from Ian and somebody who's remained anonymous. So what has led to bamboo dying? What's been the causes of bamboo dying?
Largely is in the absence of um, in the handling, first in the handling of bamboo, from transporting from the source of the seedlings up to where they're supposed to be delivered, and then how they're brought to the planting site. You're not supposed to hold them you're supposed to hold them in the bags, not in any part of the bamboo. How they're actually planted, how you um, take out the plastic bag, and you're not supposed to shake the plant. So bamboos, while they are miracle grass, there's supposed to be a lot of tender, loving care, soil nutrition, watering in the first few months. All of these contribute to mortality of bamboos. And so we always remind our IP partners, bamboos are like babies. You need to take care of them while they're young. And when they're old enough, you can let them go and they will thrive and survive.
So treat your bamboo like a baby. I think this is going to be a question for everyone, and I'll probably start with you, Rudolph. Um, and this is from Mark. Is where are the main issues and problems you faced in data gathering and management of information, and how were you able to systematically organize the needed information?
All right. That's actually an interesting question because when we had that discussion with one agency, they're still in the process of harmonizing their data sets. So with that being said, it means that within all these data originators or where we could really source the data, especially those who are on the ground gathering the primary data, there is a challenge of how you could really structure it. So I think from that point of view, we need to increase the capacity of our local government units on how they should, how they could really transform all this data into something that is centralized. So we're talking about having a data-centric, a uniform data, a harmonized data that can be easily integrated with other database systems. So I think the main pain point based on our experience from our engagements with all of these data sources is that there is still a lack of um, technical capacity on how to really transform the data, to digitalize, to come up with that data-centric mindset. Yeah.
Does anybody else in the panel want to talk about how they are able to manage the data?
So data generally, audible, right? So data which is captured throughout these activities is owned by the project developer, and the relevant data is then shared with the relevant stakeholders. Like I mentioned, if there are regulators, there are OEMs, the recyclers, they will access different sets of data. And overall, all those informations are accessed by the respective project developers in all. So ultimately, for example, when we are, since we are tracking the material from its origin, the new product is made. It comes with a QR code, which once you scan, it will tell the entire material journey. So this QR code is sort of the digital product passport. So these sets of information are shared to the end consumers for their conscious buying, because it is more driven from the consumer as well, right? That I need to know the source from where I am getting this material, whether the claims that are made that, okay, this is sustainable material, or this has been ethically sourced, or fair wages are paid, there was no marginalization. So these different sets of information are then stored in a data block, which is then shared with relevant stakeholders. Like if you are a consumer, you are buying this product, you'll get that information that, okay, throughout this process, this was the overall footprint of this material. This was the carbon offset that I could achieve if I recycle this. What is the potential for upcycling, recycling, etc. So, it is based on what stakeholder is requiring the data or that set of information. It is made available to them.
Great. There's actually a couple of questions which are around the same theme, and it's about longevity. And I'm actually going to talk to you, Eileen, because most people look at 1, 2 years. You're looking 40, 50 years. So, and I'll start with you. How do you ensure longevity of your programs? Because all of you sitting here need to have longevity. So obviously, I'll start with you because you've got the longest event horizon.
Because we're looking at a 40-year permanence minimum. Um, it's very important that we're able to uh, not convince, but really have the community um, embrace that this project is not time bound, that this is not to be reported after 5 years. What's very distinct about bamboo is that from planting to maintaining and to harvesting, there is a future that they see beyond just planting and maintaining. We harvest on the 7th year, and it's going to be continuous harvesting until many years after. And so, because they can see the vision, they can see that goal, I think that's what helped not only adoption, but really ownership of the process and the outcome. And so, why is data important? For a carbon program, it has to establish the birthday of a plant, it has to establish mortality, it has to establish how many COMs have been harvested, because under also a carbon program, to maintain the carbon stock, you have to have 21 to 22 COMs in the clump. If, for example, a clump has 30 COMs or poles, you can only harvest 8 or 7, but you have to retain 21 to 22. And you need MRV, IP MRVs to monitor that and maintain that. And so part of the MRV work is, that's why going back to my presentation, it's very important that the IP members are part of the MRV team because they're there to stay.
And just on the IP, we have another question, which is how does the program help IP communities address issues on the ancestral domain?
One of the things that Datu, the late Timoy, Timoy is Datu for another term for Timoy Dahil told me. One of the reasons why he wanted to do bamboo is that it will help establish their boundaries in their ancestral domain. So if you do a drone shot of their ancestral domain, it is now naturally fenced with bamboos. And so that's one of the reasons why they wanted to do this. In fact, when we started this, many of them haven't even gone to their boundaries. And their boundary, they have 5,536 hectares in their ancestral domain. And so part of the stewardship of their land is establishing those boundaries through the growing of planting and growing of bamboos.
Great. We have got a couple of questions on data governance and how you can ensure that there's data governance which are involved in what you're doing, but also how do you think that the programs you are working on can advance open initiatives and open data initiatives. So I think probably I'll start with you, Rudolph, and then move on to Subi.
All right. I believe there is an ongoing discussion right now between DICT and other government departments about how to streamline the data exchange between all of these government bodies. And that is really a good chance for us to come up with a very smooth and streamlined data sharing agreement across various agencies. So I would like to start with that we need to have a strong partnership with that specific agency in the government who could really facilitate that kind of data sharing, starting from the originators down to the users. Because basically, when we had that discussions with several agencies, they were always after the data sharing, the memorandum of understanding, the end user license agreement, and we need to leverage on something that is already being, done or currently being discussed. And it's good thing that we have that DICT data exchange platform underway. So I think that's a key part of the data governance. It must be operational now. Okay.
So I would like to take an example here. One of the use case where we have seen involvement of different stakeholders across different geographies. So there is a project, ocean cleanup project, where actually the fishermen, they goes to high seas and collect material as a bycatch. So they are bringing it to the shore where it is getting collected. Then it is further going to different aggregation facility and ultimately into the recycling facilities. Now in doing this activity, almost 3 or 4 countries they are touching for a different sort of processing and manufacturing of final good. And at every step, when these sets of information are gathered and ultimately stored as a block, finally these blocks are these information are then pushed on the blockchain and converted into the fungible tokens, and these tokens are then bought to sponsor kind of the football matches, or there are impact tokens that are sold. So the overall impact involving different stakeholders, different governments, as well as private stakeholders, the impact is tangible. You can actually measure all those different points where it is being utilized.
And we're just going to wrap up, but I'm going to take an extra minute, so don't kill me, Mo. As you can see, we've got the panels on either side where we're asking technology solution providers, but also people who need solutions. So as solution providers, what's your ask for the people in the audience? So you can start again. And keep it quick,
Okay,
or I'm going to get shot.
it is, I have kept it short throughout. So, okay, it is more of a harmonized ecosystem, harmonized regulation across different countries, different geographies. So this is something in line to the INC negotiations that are going on. Like we are struggling so we are also part of Business Coalition. So what we have seen that if the regulations are not harmonized across different countries, then it becomes very difficult to make the adoption happen at the ground. So yeah, it should come from the policy, I would say. Thank you.
Specific question, basically based from our focus group discussions, stakeholder engagement, what would enable you to really utilize this digital platform? What outputs or formats do you want to see? And actually, it's really more of inviting everyone to join us in this effort for the Pasig River rehabilitation. So we are still at, as I mentioned, it's still at phase 0. Phase 0 of the 3-year term, or the 2 to 3 year long-term plan for the overall Pasig River rehabilitation. So we actually really need everyone's engagement, starting with the data contributions and identifying the user needs.
For us, bamboo is such a sturdy construction material, except there's no policy in place to classify bamboo as a construction building material. It's still being in Congress and in the Senate. It's still, it's still being discussed. And so part of what we want to see is for people advocating for bamboo, not only as a construction building material, but really supporting it if it's rolled out commercially. If you have an option to buy bamboo construction materials for your homes, I think every time you look at it, you will see that it's the IP communities who planted it. And so that's part of the support that we're looking from the public. And just for those of you that don't know bamboo as a construction building material, we hope to be able to build more facilities. If you go to Tacloban Airport, you'd see that, and Catbalogan, and we hope to see more airports displaying the wonderful features of a bamboo material. Thank you.
I, for one, look forward to the day where all have bamboo houses. So I want to thank the speakers today. I have three really, really amazing projects which I'm really, really supportive of, and look forward to seeing great things in the future. A functional digital twin, Manila housing made out of bamboo, and monitorizing plastic waste and making sure that responsible use of plastics is happening. So thank you once again for all our panelists. So I'm just going to give a quick summary of today's um, track. I want to really thank the team because I think, especially from Eileen's talk, we've seen the real benefit of how do we engage long-term with IP communities, and also how we actually can use the knowledge and the capabilities of IP communities to really build future and build a foundation of not only sustainable housing, but also a circular economy with the use of biochar, because biochar can be used as both carbon sequestration, but also as nutrients to help the bamboo grow better. So it's really inspiring because these projects are really important, that we are maintaining IP communities, but also making sure that there's a long-term longevity of the project. So it's a project which I really, really, really like. And I can see a future being expanded right not only in the Philippines, but throughout the region. Talking of projects I really like, so obviously I've been here at the creation of the digital twin. For us, it's really important that we have a tool which is able then to be able to provide information which will mean that the government and other agencies will have the information at hand to make proper decisions, but also how to invest solutions which are going to be able to clean up the Pasig River. The Pasig River is a symbol of the challenges we have with plastic pollution. If we can solve the issues around Pasig River, it is of planetary importance, but also the Pasig River has the opportunity to provide a lifeline and also a really wonderful environment for the people of Manila, both for recreational, but also an area which then could be rejuvenated to make the city more livable for everyone. Because one of the challenges I've had by moving to Manila was, where do I go to run? Where do I go to recreate? And we have this opportunity that Pasig River could solve a lot of those challenges, even solve transport, but I'm best not say solving transport in Manila because it's not an issue. So I think it's really important that we use this as a tool, and we're at the very start of this as a tool, that we can then build on it and add more data on this so that we can be able to ask more questions around development, around how we can make Manila more livable, but also how can this be used as a way of getting different government departments to integrate their data, more importantly. So I have to congratulate ARB and not River Recycle because they've done an amazing initial job, but it is at an early stage, and we really need to be making sure that we get that high level quality of data coming forward. And finally, with ASM Global, I really like these digital platforms because it's engaging people with the solution, but also showing that this is a way of actually generating income which can support not only junk shops, but also being able to us to collect high-level data of understanding where the challenges are and where we can potentially see solutions around this, but also engage the people who are producing the plastics. The work that ASM Global has been doing has been a really strong way of helping local government units being able to not only assess what's going on the ground, but also engage with the people which are involved with plastic collection. So it's been really inspiring to spend time with you. We didn't even get a chance to talk about sustainable aviation fuels, but that's another day. But I really have enjoyed the time here, and I want to really give one more round of applause for all our speakers because it's been a great session. So, moving forward, tomorrow, if I can get the next slide. Yay. Yep. One last QR code for this session. We have our survey here. So If you have time, please take a few minutes to fill in the post-event evaluation. Your feedback is always important so that we can, future events, make sure that we've got the right talent, but also making sure everything is correct. So please take some time now to be able to fill out the feedback form. As you can probably hear outside, we have coffee. So please look outside for coffee. Tomorrow, we're going to start the day at 8:30 with the preliminaries, which are several tracks. So track 1 is going to be enabling conditions for sustainable finance. Track 2, digitalization and innovation around data collection. Track 3, digitalization of plastic change. Following 3 more tracks, enabling conditions, again, another digital innovation track with urban and rural solutions. And then finally, track 3 around plastic value chain and data governance. Then we're going to have a lunch, and then we're having our second plenary session, which is around pathways to circular resilience. And most importantly, we'll have our cocktails and light refreshments. Coming from an Irish person, that's always important. So I will strongly recommend you going and visit Arups stand so you can get up and close with the digital twin, but also we have a number of other exhibitors outside. So please take some time to look at the marketplace and see some of their various product solutions and data platforms. So it gives us an opportunity to help those people who are supporting us. So once again, thank you so much for your attention. Thank you for all your questions, and thank you for the panelists. Thank you.